We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
All of your internet belong to us now.
It costs you $10.99 to change your gamer tag on Xbox. I'm committed now. I can't change it. With me, as always, is Ryan. We are going to take a vote for a new gamer tag because his is slightly offensive. This is fine. Jim is not with us because he had to move his fat ass from Houston to Dallas, and reasons. So he's probably listening right now on his mobile phone, and he's swearing. He's swearing a lot.
He's wondering why you called him fat.
We'll get back to that. That's fine. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest. Pleased to welcome with a loud round of applause, Anodyne.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yay, hooray! How are you guys?
Your voice.
My voice? Well, that's very sweet because I am very self-conscious about my voice. So thank you. Probably the first person to say that to me.
Yes. No, there's just so much joy. I'm into it.
She is definitely the most excited guest we've had on ever, or at least lively.
Let's fucking go! What was that? Yes.
Oh.
The first F-bomb was not me. It's all downhill from here.
No, I had to beat you to the punch. They expect it by now, so you have to buck expectations a little bit.
Wow.
It's in the pre-show, contract that we send over for you to come on. You're required to say fuck at least 9 times.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the pre-show contract required to let you drop the first F-bomb.
That usually happens in the pre-show.
Alright.
Well, me and Ryan haven't done duos in a while, so let's just start throwing weird, awkward questions at you. Tell us, what is Anodyne?
Okay, so I used to go by the name Riced, back when I first started playing online games in Halo, and then I wanted a name that felt a little bit more me and not specific to that fandom. So I just started browsing around for words that I thought were cool, and I came across the word Anodyne, which is Anodyne is basically a painkiller or it's that type of drug, and that's usually the definition that people see when they look it up, and they're like, "Oh, you named yourself after a drug," and I'm like. But the other definition that I read was something that is inoffensive or soothing to the mind or feelings. I was like, oh, that's good. That's a reminder to not be shitty to people. That will be my name. And I just pronounce it differently from the actual word because it's cooler. I don't have a reason.
Okay, so am I saying it right or am I saying it wrong?
For me, you're saying it right. I believe.
Perfect, that's all.
I believe if you're trying to use the actual word, I think the actual word is Anodyne, but I go by Anodyne just to make it a little more gay.
Not my, grammar school reading level. That's the way I would have pronounced it. So we're going for it.
I heard drugs. That was it.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. Can we get some of those?
I don't have any to share, but if I did,
Still wouldn't.
I don't have any left to share.
All right. So why don't we jump straight into it and go? How did you start? Where did you start with gaming?
Okay. I started watching my dad play games on like the Sega Genesis and SNES, and then while I grew up, he just like kept playing. Like probably the earliest memories I have formulated are watching my dad play like the old Turoks, like on the N64. But like I know we started earlier because we owned like the Genesis and the SNES, and I have a lot of like really fun memories of playing like Turtles in Time, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and my very favorite, a game that I still love to this day, King of the Monsters 2. So that's how I got started. It was just sort of like always in the family, and it was something that Dad did with my sister and I. And so it was just sort of something I grew up doing, and like a way for us to spend time together. And then as I got older and older, my uncle was like, yo, like I have the Xbox, and there's like a really cool new game out called Halo, and like it's like got open worlds. I've never really seen anything like it. You should like play it. And so like, it was a first-person shooter, and I grew up playing. Well, I mean, I guess my dad played Turok, and that was a first-person shooter. But I grew up playing like more like Nintendo things. So like, I think they were a little afraid of letting me like get too deep into Halo, because they basically had me like drive around in the Warthog on the beach of the Silent Cartographer, and that was it. But for me, that was like super fun, and I like loved it. And so then my uncle was like, hey, like I'm going out of town. Do you want to like borrow the Xbox? And my dad and I were like, yeah, that was like really fun. And then my dad, had me play Halo CE with him. And it was actually funny because my uncle was like, wow, I'm surprised he like let you play that, but that's really cool. So then from there, like on our quote unquote father-daughter days, which is just like a day where I would get out of school or whatever responsibilities I had and spend a day with Dad, like a lot of those days were spent like playing the Halos. And he would let me like take off school on release days. We would cook like our family chili recipe and then just like play the Halos, whichever Halo was out. And so, it's just sort of been, that's sort of how it evolved. And then like, when Halo 2 online gaming, and then that started being like a big part of things. But it started out as like a family thing. So it's always been like a big part of who I've been and how it made relationships.
I think she just beat us in video game cred.
I mean, she beat me.
It's not a contest.
Everything's a contest here.
So, just...
Yeah, TLDR is King of the Monsters 2. Really good. Play it if you can, if you have an SNES and flying around anywhere.
Okay, so she has completely derailed my entire train of thought already.
Sorry.
Oh, it's totally fine. I love this kind of an interview. So, I've seen you starting to stream and do all that stuff. Can you talk about how that got started?
Yeah, I mean, it just started because, my fiance at Twitter at Fallout Plays, twitch.tv/Fallout Plays, you can find him there. He's been doing it a lot, and he's had like great success, and I'm like really proud of him. And it just seemed like fun, he met like a lot of nice people, but it's also just because like I do art for a job right now, which is like great because it's like what I went to school to do and what I've been studying like my whole life for. But it's also like really tiring to do your hobby as a job. So like I just thought like I don't know if I'm gonna want to do art my whole life. I don't know how like sustainable it is, and I don't know if it's what I want to do. So like I'm just right now I'm sort of doing the streaming thing as like sort of like as a backup, so that like if I need to change for whatever reason, be it personal or like an outside force, then maybe I have something to support me either as I transition or to transition to. So that's the mindset with the streaming, and I'm not like super good at it because I'm a very introverted person. My fiance is very extroverted. He's very friendly. He's good at talking to people and keeping people engaged. Me, not so much. But I'm down to try to give it a shot, and I've met some really nice people. I enjoy chatting with people that stop by, so it's been fun so far.
Okay. She is well prepared. Holy shit.
Sorry if I talk too much. Or
You're-
if you need me to
That is not possible.
dial it back. You can just
No.
gesture at me in the camera. I'm out.
We can't see your camera, so.
Wait, I can see your camera. So
Yes.
You can gesture at me.
Oh, it's fine. You were talking about art. What kind? Where are you at in the art community? What do you do with art?
Okay, so you mean like recreationally, I'm guessing.
No, I mean all of it. What does your art life entail? Are you somebody who is sitting in front of a canvas painting pictures? Are you taking photos? Are you somebody who does like what Young Khan does and create all these Twitch emotes and stuff? I mean, what does your art life consist of?
Okay, so just growing up, it was just something I did for fun. I took art classes, did the AP classes, didn't really start drawing or consider drawing seriously.
She's sculpting nudes. Got it. All right.
Yeah. I have a really racy, side business. No. I actually, so I started doing it seriously in high school, and then I sort of went on to study studio art in college. So that was a lot of sitting in front of canvases and, being in the studios, working with charcoal, oils, all the really traditional stuff. And I did the studio art because I thought it would be good foundationally for me. There wasn't as much it was a lot of still lifes and just sort of uppity art. I guess I don't really know how to better describe it. It's not a good way of describing it, but I was hoping for more figure drawing and but it was still a good experience, and I did learn a lot, and it was really fun to play with traditional media that would be expensive and costly and really hard to manage elsewhere. Having big studios on a college campus is a really nice luxury that I wouldn't have when I went on to live in a one bedroom in Brooklyn. So that was fun. And then I interned briefly, and then I just sort of, and all the while I draw sort of for myself. I like drawing fandom stuff, so for the games I play, I've done some Destiny fan art, some Monster Hunter fan art, some Warframe, so I like doing that stuff on the side while pursuing the career. Doing the stuff on the side has been a lot harder for me. My output has decreased pretty dramatically since taking my full-time day job in design and illustration. I don't regret doing the full-time day job in design and illustration. I met some really fantastic artists. I adore my coworkers. They give me good ideas, push me to be better. It's just juggling it is hard. So, but yeah, so professionally I do design and illustration in the fashion industry. My company is based in New York. I work remotely now. I was on site with them for a couple years, and now I've moved, but they like me enough to keep me, so yay. And then outside of professional stuff, when I draw for myself, it's usually fandom related for whatever game I'm enjoying the most.
Okay. Jeez, you've got answers.
These are the best answers we've ever had.
Yes, it's amazing. We normally have to pull teeth, even out of our most experienced guests, just to get them to talk about themselves and open up a little bit.
Sometimes out of us.
Well, they're good questions,
so So you touched on some of your fandom and community stuff. Have you done all of the little figure that we see here in the Discord, or I'm sure your fiance's needed a lot of artwork done. Are you doing that kind of stuff also?
Yeah, I do take personal commissions. I haven't opened for them in a while because my freelance has been eaten up by some contract work that I'm super into. I've gotten to work on video game properties that are very near to dear to my heart, so that's been awesome. But again, it's bandwidth. So I do the day job and then I have these big contract pieces, so then I don't really have a ton of time to dedicate to smaller personal commissions that might not pay as well. But in the event that I do open up for them, I always post announcements about it. And that's part of the reason why I haven't been able to do as much stuff for my fiance as I would like. He always says oh, I need a new graphic, a new banner for my stream, or new emotes. What should I do for the emotes? And I help him where I can, but just for me, it's like a lot about like bandwidth and how I manage myself. You asked about my little icon right here. Like, again, this wasn't drawn by me. This was drawn by an artist on Twitter by the name of Kumanaru. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. They are just a phenomenal artist. I really respect their work a lot. So it was really cool to get a little piece of my Titan that I could put up there. And I also just like, I sort of have a thing about like using my own art. I don't know. Not that I find it like uppity, because I think like a lot of, I've used that word twice now, I don't know why, like a lot of artists like use their own art for their branding, and if they, you know, as well they should. Just for me, like, I like art that people make for me, so I like showing that off where I can. I think it's fun. So that's why a lot of like profile pictures or what have you that I use are made by other people, because it's like, it's sweet and it's cool and I like respect their work, so I like putting it on where I can. The best example of like stuff to find me is basically like the stuff that I post on my Twitter or quote unquote professional Tumblr. But
Rick, I think.
I was getting started. Never mind.
Go ahead.
I was gonna date myself. Okay, so Titan. Why Destiny? What got you into that?
why Destiny? Because it was Bungie's next project after Halo. You know, I talked a lot about how Halo was a part of my life growing up, so I knew whatever Bungie did next, I would want to be in on. And you know, my fiance and I we were dating at the point where when they announced it, so we knew we wanted to do it together. So, you know, we just took the plunge right away. I think it was the beta that we first played, and it was like really fun. I had never really played like a game with MMO trappings before. So just being able to like walk into the Cosmodrome and like sit on a rock with two other people and watch the sunset was like an experience I hadn't really had in a game before. It was like really poignant and like just like fun to spend that time with, you know, my at the time boyfriend and like best friend. And so that was sort of like what hooked it on me, was just like the hanging out with people, the tower dance parties, and then just seeing where it would all lead.
She goes on long walks on the beach with her partner in a video game, and while I'm playing a video game with my wife, I'm ducking controllers. What the hell is that? My wife likes to throw Xbox controllers at me while we're playing games together.
25 years of marriage? Question mark?
Testing your reflexes, making sure you're still sharp.
I'm old. There's no reflexes here anymore. So, and only 7 years, Rick.
That's fair. Alright, the burning question. What subclass do you main?
Burning, very apt because I main Sunbreaker.
Yes.
I love.
And who do we have coming up next week?
Hold on, I'm gonna turn him off. Just don't look at the bald fat man. Come here. Come touch my hand.
Okay, I'm touching. You can't see it because I don't have a camera, but I am.
This is fine. Titan. We never get Titans.
I love Titans. We're the best.
You do all the booking.
We're very
Yes,
underappreciated.
Guess which one of us is a warlock? I'll give you.
Ryan's a warlock.
Yes.
I don't know why I didn't expect that.
So, I will tell this story because in the beta, when you first pick your character, they have the descriptions of the characters, which were complete and utter bullshit. But it sounded like a warlock was going to be a healer, which was the class that I played in MMOs. Was always a healer class. So I jumped in at warlock, and it's just kind of one of those things, at my age, when you make a bad decision, you just got to ride it out all the way through to the end. And it's been a warlock, and so.
What I'm getting from this is warlocks are the bad decision class.
I mean, so bad decision in, there really isn't that much difference between any of them anyway. They all kind of play the same, other than whatever super you get. So, like I said, I was looking for something way different. But in D1, self-res was so nice. It was like, how do you get away from that?
Yeah. Well, especially back in D1, they weren't very different. I mean, if you played from the start, you started with like two classes, right? Like you didn't even have the healing ability of the Sunsinger at the start, I don't believe. No, you did. It was Sunsinger and Voidwalker, and then the Stormcaller was what you got in Taken King. Okay. Whew, almost lost my nerd cred there.
I'm surprised I don't remember that, but whatever.
Because there was that whole Stormcaller cutscene where you.
Right. It's the well that was new. So at least you kind of got your healing capabilities finally a couple years later.
Yeah, but still not anywhere close to what was being described. Yeah, no, not even slightly.
Ryan and I ran a Nightfall together the other night, and he is not a very good healer. I'm just throwing that out there because I died a lot.
It's fired. It's disgust.
I love that we're.
Radiance Warlock. He makes a great Void Walker. I'm guessing.
I love all of the facial expressions you're making for an audio podcast.
I mean, I can't turn it off, man. I'm sorry.
Well, she completely derailed this show with being a Titan, so I'm out of questions.
This is fine.
You keep saying I'm derailing it. I feel like I'm doing a bad
you
job.
Sit there and just, you read your books or whatever it is you guys do, and fancy pajamas. This is fine.
Oh, we're gonna tell that story in a
Relax in
few.
the pajama class? Okay, well maybe I should switch then.
I mean, to each his own. Yeah. All right. So, what are your favorite activities? Like, what's your jam in game modes? Like,
Okay, I was gonna
at all,
say my favorite activities. I feel like I talked a lot about them, but like in Destiny specifically.
in Destiny specifically.
I love raids. Raids are probably my favorite thing to do. It's really hard wrangling like a group of people to get a raid going. I've had like a really hard time with that in the past, and thankfully, just like this past year, I've been like in and out of clans, like trying to find like good raiding clans or like just groups in general. I tried LFGing a lot, and as someone, as a female, it's like really hard to LFG things because you just get people who have like no idea how to act. But
I've heard stories.
what?
Look,
I've heard some stories.
this is something I want to put a pin in and come back to it in a minute. And I don't want to weigh it down, but being female in video games is a conversation I'd like to come back to.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
I mean, but I was just gonna say, so raiding is my favorite, and I was really last year to join a clan called the Blueberry Muffins, and this is gonna sound really stupid, but they have sign-up sheets for raids, and it's the best fucking thing because I can know like exactly like who to call and like when it's happening, and I can like set time aside and be like, okay, like I'm raiding now, and then like after that or before that I can like play with other people, but like I know when it's happening and like what's going to happen, and it makes it so easy, and they're so nice, and I'm so thankful.
This is the greatest clan name ever.
yes, we need now we have to put a pin in that also and come back and talk about your clan name.
It's very cute. I
I'm sure 50% about the sign-up sheet because I was just so enamored with the name.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what it is, right? I was like looking through all of these clans, and they were like Angels of Light, Guardians of Destiny, like the Seven Seraphs, and I was like, those are like cool. And then I saw like Blueberry Muffins, and I was like, okay, like this sounds like a clan that probably doesn't take themselves like too seriously. They're probably like fun and like.
These guys seem laid back,
Yeah, exactly. So the name was definitely like part of it. And I've just been fortunate. So I like raids. I like chilling in like low stress PvE activities. I know a lot of people find them boring, but I like strikes fine. I really like the new Nightfall changes that have come in Shadowkeep. I like that there's different tiers of challenge. So if I just want to chill and like load a 920 Nightfall with randoms, I can like just do that and get some helpful materials. But if I also want to like challenge myself and get pinnacle gear, then I can do what I do last night, which is put myself through an hour of being killed over and over again by unstoppable ogres as my fiance hides behind a bone pile and reses me into death until we finally triumph. It was a true war of attrition. So those are that, and I had a lot of fun doing the competitive grind to Unbroken with my fiance too. Though I wouldn't really say I'm like super excellent at Crucible or anything, but it's fun to play it with him and with our friends.
Okay, so because I am nowhere near being able to just, would you say that the super steroid Nightfall is worth it, or is it
not for me because I got an Eternal Warrior helmet for it, so that was not worth it. But like I've heard it. I mean, and I did it with like 956 power level or something, right? So like in a couple weeks when I've gotten some levels on the artifact and a few pinnacle drops, I'll probably be like closer to the challenge threshold, and then hopefully it'll be like a little less arduous. Like I don't think I would spend an hour in a Nightfall again for what I got. But like I think if you get to the point, or if you like devise a strategy where you can run them more with less effort, then I think they probably would be worth it.
Here's the question: what did he get out of that besides having to sit behind a pile of bones and res you?
Can I turn and ask him?
Sure.
Hey, Boo.
Yeah,
What'd you get out of the Nightfall last night?
I have no idea.
He says he has no idea, so
Oh,
I really couldn't have been that
Perfect.
excellent.
We can hear him, by the way, very clear.
Oh, okay.
So, it's not a bad thing, but...
I'm at 917 right now because I have ADD.
It's fine. It's like it's not a race or anything.
Oh, look, there's a big Chungus rabbit. And I'm off. I literally spent a week just walking around the moon. I have no idea what I accomplished. Like, legitimately.
That's...
But I'm 917.
You accomplished destiny.
A lot of Vex died. There was fire. Other than that, I have no idea.
See, that's important though. The Vex are trying to take over our moon. That moon's really close.
Apparently, it may not be ours because there's a giant Dorito in the center of it.
Well, that's true.
The
Yeah.
only problem with this whole thing is, like, how did it land here? I mean,
Well, theoretically during the, I mean, I don't know either, but theoretically during the collapse, I guess, and during the collapse, everything was sort of wiped out. We don't really have much, like, recordings or recollection of it. So that would be my guess, but I don't know.
I'm gonna get Beard Grizzly on here and make him have an aneurysm on here. Explain it to me. Do it now.
All right. So, can we take a step back and go back to the topic of being a female gamer? And you and I don't want to drag this out and get all into all of the things that happened, but do you feel a little insulated because of your fiance with some of this, or do you get all of the crap that just comes along from dumbass guys when they hear a girl playing a video game?
Both. Like when I'm playing with him, I'm insulated because he generally, from what I've seen, he doesn't play with scummy people like that. Like the people that he makes friends with, you know, he's a good guy. He makes friends with good people. So, you know, when I join up with him, I've never had like an experience like that. But when I'm on my own, I get all sorts of stuff.
Okay. So, that was way more concise than I expected, but...
No, I mean, it's true. It's like, I mean, like my clan, we don't have a lot of dickheads. It's like our only rule, don't be a dickhead. So everybody has to get along, and yeah, we mess with each other friendly-like, but we don't, even if we hear about something like that going on in another stream and it's a clan member, there's a discussion, and either the guy doesn't, you know, just cease and desist, or he's out of the clan because we don't want to be associated with that. So you can, you can pick your friends in the gaming world. It's not like real life. Wait, no, never mind. That's fine. I stand by my statement.
Well, that's very respectable, and if I like saw that happening, like, you know, in your clan, like if I saw you guys standing up for people like that, basically that'd be like a really like the opposite of a red flag, a green flag, I guess. I don't know. It'd be just like a sign that like, oh, those guys are like cool. I should probably like, you know.
Oh, there's
stay
been
abreast of
Twitter wars.
Oh boy.
Remember, his clan is Australian, so everything is up for argument.
It just degenerated into just, yeah.
Well, I think don't be a
You
dick
could
is a
find
really
us.
good rule.
Oh, good lord.
We will give you a chance to behave privately, and then we will probably shame you publicly. This is something
boy.
that
All right, so let's talk about this clan that the Blueberry Muffins. It's supposed to be laid back, and it sounds like they're the most organized clan ever. Is there... I'm curious, is this all-female clan? Is it, like, open to anybody? What's the deal?
I believe it's open to pretty much anybody. I've only played with women, and I can't call their gamer tag off the top of my head because it was way back in Forsaken when I played with her, but she was really nice, and it was a really fun time. We did some Ascended challenges together. But most of the people that I've played with are, you know, guys, but they've just all been, like, nice. Like, I haven't had any, like... I've never seen them have to have, like, any of that, like, discussion with anybody. All of the members have been nice to me. No one's been like, you're a girl, or, like, you know, none of that. So that's been really nice.
Okay. You just made me think of another question for you, so... But I'll wait till your answer's over.
No, yeah, so... Yeah, you know, they're nice. They're organized, and they're just fun. And as far as joining, yeah, like I said, I think it's open to anyone. When I joined, I had to play like with an officer, which is just like someone like a founder of the clan or someone who's been in the clan for a while. So I had to like, it was like a very like casual vetting process. It was basically like, hey, just play like a couple of games of Crucible or like Strike so we can get a feel for you, and if you seem nice and we gel well, then you can join. And so that had to win with me. I played with one of the officers, and then a couple days later, I was in. I was like, sweet.
It's a very standard kind of thing.
Yeah.
With the again being female and the bullshit that happens because of dumbass people, do you find that happens less in the Destiny community or more or the same across all video games?
Hard for me to say because I didn't really do a lot of social gaming before Destiny. Like I played Halo, but usually when I played Halo, it was in like party chats with friends. So I didn't really super expose myself to the general populace like I have in the LFG trials of Destiny. I definitely got like when I would play with people outside the party chat in Halo, there definitely would be like sexism. But I don't really feel super qualified to make a judgment on if there is more or less. I would say for me, it's been about the same. Just like wherever you go, there are going to be those people that just don't really get how to act. I don't know why that is. But for me, it's been about the same.
Okay.
Well, I mean, people have the safety of the internet, so they think they're autonomous.
Right.
And you can't get to them. Little do they know, yes, we can actually find you. Just FYI in the future. We can find you.
We
Yeah,
can pay people.
I've had both. I've had people who like do it because it's the internet, and then I've had people who just do it because I think they just like don't understand why they shouldn't do it, which is like really weird. But I don't know. I guess there are some people that just don't really get it. There's all strokes of folk, I guess.
Oh, so
All right, we have a question in the chat on this. This is directly towards you. So it's a question with a quick follow-up. So we're just going to let me blow through the whole thing. What's your favorite Titan exotic? Do you run OEM like the rest of the scrubs or real exotic like the rest of us?
It depends on what I'm doing. My favorite overall is it's going to be a really weird choice. It's the Crest of Alpha Lupi. I like it because it fits my character's like visual themes of being like upright, noble, clean and ornate. So it's got that really like sort of fancy, clean, nice design. So it suits the armors I wear for him well. I also like that it helps me support my team with like an extra orb and a little bit of like healing. So it's sort of supportive, which also ties into the character. So that's like my favorite overall if I just had to give like a general favorite. I do wear the OEM in Crucible because it's good and I like using good things. I also love the Peregrine Greaves. Like it was my favorite thing to do in Destiny 1 was just to jump into a bubble and Peregrine Greave someone. And I haven't done it much in Destiny 2 just because the bubble has been dead, but now that it's coming back.
It's coming back.
Yeah, maybe more people will be running bubbles.
They're out there. I found them.
I'm so excited.
Don't know it's coming.
Every time somebody mentions the bubble, all I can think about is the Peregrine Greaves video where you have the shot of why did you do that?
I mean, honestly, that's if you're a bubble titan, because I used to play bubble titan all the time in D1. I don't know why people run into the bubble, but they just do. Maybe it's like the whole bug zapper effect in the backyard on a dark night. It's like, oh, it's bright, shiny. But yeah, people all the way through to the end of D1 run to the bubble. So when they see you charging, it's just my favorite. It's like, oh, here comes another idiot. And aha!
Exactly.
I can tell you from, and I play a bubble titan when I do play a non-warlock character, but being a warlock, what is fun sometimes is to see a titan have that happen to them and misjudge how to play it. Like if they back out of their bubble and get killed, that is like one of the most fun things in the world. Like as a warlock, I would usually charge them and tag them with a grenade and watch what they do. If they see that grenade, they start running for some reason. And if you can kill them, if you can kill them outside of the bubble, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but it is like the most rewarding thing for a non-titan, to get to do it. So, yes, it's a stupid move, but sometimes you got to spike the ball outside the end zone. It's just, yeah. So it's just fun, especially if you're in a mat, you just like I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Crucible is like rarely ever like super high stakes for me. So sometimes you just gotta do something dumb and fun.
I don't see. I would imagine
Well,
it,
that's how I play every game.
in your house, everything is high stakes for you because I would have to imagine. I mean, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. Given what goes on in your house with your fiance and everything else, it seems like there's always work being done, and I can hear him a lot of times talking to you about, I need to get this, I need to do that, and I would feel like there's a lot of pressure when you guys are playing games.
Sometimes. Sometimes there's pressure, sometimes there's friction. But in general, I'm just like happy to play stuff with him. And yeah, I mean, like, he's a content creator, so he wants to get the stuff first. He wants to get it like right when it comes out, which is like, that's probably where the friction comes from, is because he wants to do stuff right away. And like, I also want to do stuff right away because I like having the new shiny thing.
Mm.
But we both work day jobs, and so like sometimes I'm not as like available as him. And so he's like, I want to do it like right away. And I'm like, but I still have to like finish this design. So I want him to wait, and like he doesn't because it's money for him, as he says. So sometimes that's where like friction comes from. But then we just have to be careful to like talk and be like, okay, like here's a new thing. Like, can I do the new thing, or like should I wait? And then I'll be like, well, if it's really important, then you can do it, or like, well, it's important to me, so I'd appreciate if we can wait. And then we sort of have to like navigate it. And I think we've been pretty good at it so far. I don't feel pressure when we play together at all. I just like playing with him.
Okay.
It's just something we have to, manage, like in all relationships.
Again, I'm used to controllers flying at my head, so
Your wife's just passionate, bro. It's fine.
it's
Yeah.
not. No, she's angry.
Passionate about hurting you.
Yeah, very much so. So I want to tell you this story, Rick. I don't know if I've ever told you this or not, but this is how I met Anno and how this eventually turned into her being on the podcast. Was it about a year ago? I was with my other business. We were sponsoring another Destiny podcast, and they were very good friends with Fallout. And his computer took a shit one night, and he was in panic mode. Is that probably the best way to describe him that night? Was panic mode when his system went down? Oh, did she leave?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Is that a good description of how he was when?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna like describe something.
No, was that a good description? He was in panic mode.
I feel like panic mode is putting it light.
Okay, so because of that other podcast, they gave him our phone number, and we hooked up online and started doing a Skype call to see if we could troubleshoot what was going on with his PC. And every few minutes, now understand where Fallout Nano used to live was basically a 1-bedroom apartment, and it was very tight quarters. Like from the couch in the living room, you could see the kitchen.
Yeah.
Very clearly on the
typical 1-bedroom view apartment.
And
like 3 rooms.
I was unaware at the time that you were in the apartment with him. But every so often I'd see this candy cane come flying across the screen and then back again. And what was going on? She was wearing a pair of pajama pants that were red and white striped. And because of how they had everything laid out, she'd have to walk in front of the laptop he had propped up on the couch, I think, was going on.
If I wanted to go to the bathroom, I'd have to like walk across the living room.
So
I'd have to walk in front of this poor guy's setup.
And he did not tell me for 2 hours, and I'm like, finally, like towards the end of the call, I'm like, I'm seeing a candy cane flash in front of my eyes. Is something going on? He's like, that's my girlfriend.
Aww.
It's like, oh my god, there's a whole nother. She didn't talk. She didn't do a whole thing. She was very quiet, like a mouse over in the corner.
I want to mess him up for you.
But yeah, that's how I ended up meeting her, and then it turned into.
I had no idea you had no idea like this.
He didn't say a word about you being there. I never heard you, because I think he was wearing a headset or something that he had to push to talk or something when he was talking on Skype, and I was like, I'm going crazy because this candy cane is just going boom, boom, in front of the screen.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like, and he's like, oh no, that's my girlfriend.
I haven't seen things like that in years, but yeah.
So, anyways, that's my story on how we met, and then
All right, well, get
I mean,
this
I
out of your
can
story
imagine.
because I don't know how to fucking follow that.
So, well, okay. So here, you no longer in the one room apartment because some things in your life has changed. What has changed since our first call to now?
Oh, geez, more things than I can say. But the biggest thing was just the stars aligned for us both to get out of New York. So we did, and we have a 2-bedroom condo now. 2 bed, 2 bath.
I love that you had to
So-
count.
Yeah, I mean, it's more space than I'm used to. So that's been nice. You know, we still have to share an office, which is, I like it. I like it because I like being close to him. You know, playing the games is how we spend like a large portion of our thing together. So it's really nice to be gaming in the same room. I think when we eventually move out of this condo and get like, I don't know, a house or whatever the heck is in our future, we'll have to come up with some way, because you know sometimes I'm in the background of his like stuff and he's in the background of my stuff, which you know my stuff isn't like, I don't usually have like as big of things going on as he does, so it doesn't really matter so much if he's in the background for me. But like if he's on like stream with other big streamers, he's been like, yeah, they can like hear you in the stream and their chat is getting annoyed. I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry. So we'll have to come up with some slightly different arrangement, I think, in the future. But I just want to be sure that like we stay close. Like I don't want us to be in completely separate rooms when we're working or gaming, because I think that would be really isolated for both of us. But you know, again, one of those things we're just gonna have to figure out when the time comes.
I can give you a suggestion when it's
Please do.
time. And this is exactly the way that my wife and I have things set up. We have a game room, which is our consoles, our computers, and everything that we do our gaming on. And at times, because of like the podcast right now, I will come in here and I will put on, a little note on the door that says busy. She will not come in here unless it's an emergency. So you could do it that way, and then also have your office for your other work and stuff like that, and separate it.
See, like I would love to do that, but then my workstation and my game station are pretty much the same. So then like I mean, I guess it would be fine. Like I don't need like 24 access to the system, but like then if he was ever doing like an important thing, then I wouldn't have access to like my art, my console.
Someday you'll have to meet a good computer guy, and they can get you set up with more than one, and you'll be fine.
Well, I have a good computer guy. His super handle is Auntie, and he's hooked me up with a lot of really great stuff, and it's been super wonderful. What I lack is money.
The same as all of us.
I can't take advantage of good computer guy. I need money to pay good computer guy good money for a good setup. I mean, I have a good setup, but another good setup.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Rick, how was that? Oh, you did get engaged, by the way. So
Yeah.
that was good news.
That was great news.
So
That was super exciting and just like a wonderful, came at like a perfect time for me.
So,
So.
and you guys are in Virginia now, yes?
Yeah, I don't like talking too much about like personal info, so I don't want to go too much more into specifics of
Right.
like my location, just because I know people on the internet can do weird and mean things sometimes. But yeah,
Just-
we did move.
I mentioned that mostly because you're East Coast and you're in horse country, and I love the area down there. It's gorgeous.
It's really nice.
So
Pennsylvania is great too. It's like not too far from here, so it's easy to go there.
everything about Pennsylvania sucks.
Whoa, that's harsh.
From Ohio,
There has to be some sort of story there.
from Ohio.
So Ohio's not like Pennsylvanians.
So there is a story, and it has to do with
Man at Arms is shaking his head. What's happening? What am I getting into?
You know this story. 100 years ago, I used to be on the practice squad for the Cleveland Browns.
I'm from the South. You're all Yankees to me. It's fine.
So it's just an ingrown hatred because of sports, and also driving through that state seems ridiculously long. So, all right.
Well, I shan't mention it again then.
Well, it's all right.
He has a lot of hiccups.
Don't we all?
I have issues. I've been kicked.
I how to get out of it. What is this fucking spiral you've dragged me into?
Been kicked a lot by horses in the head.
Whoa, that's dangerous.
I mean, to be fair, it looks like your head can take it. I mean,
That's fair, yeah.
for small favors.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't have hair. So
That's why you don't have hair? Because the horses?
no. I don't have hair because of genetics.
Kill tell that joke. I can't tell that joke.
Go ahead.
No.
Do it.
No, don't let me open up any
Really?
can of worms. Keep
I
going.
really can't. Move on. Fuck off.
All right. So going forward, what do you guys have? Anything upcoming, scheduled, planned that you're interested in as far as Destiny? Got any cool projects you're working on?
For me, I just need to do more art. I do need to do more art. It's been bad. Aside from that, project-wise, just gonna try to keep the stream regular. My fiance has given me the advice that being regular is the best thing you can do for your stream. So that's the plan. And unfortunately, I'm gonna board it like right away.
Being regular is always a good good rule.
Depends. Being regular, like in life, is
always a good thing too.
no, I should really it's fine to be regular. I'm just a weirdo. But
I'm broken. It's fine.
I don't know. Are there any projects you want to plug? Anything coming up? I don't know.
Me?
Any Destiny projects? Nah. He says nah. I'm sure he's being modest for the
He's
sake
gonna
of.
have like 4 videos come out tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah, he is one of the most prolific people, and I was curious about that. Like, in your household, how much time goes into the video game aspect? Work aspect.
A lot. I mean, a lot. We spend a lot of time playing games, and he spends, even more time making the content. Part of the reason it's been so nice to have this condo now is because now that we're not in such tight quarters, if he needs to stay up a little bit to like work when I go to bed, I just have some health stuff that flares up now and again, so I need to be more regular about my bedtime than I would really like. But so if he needs to stay up now, it's a little easier for him to do that. He can just burn a little bit more midnight oil. But so I work like a 9-to-5 job. He works a 9-to-5 job, and then like pretty much right when we can clock out, we start like playing and working and such.
So there's a big commitment.
Right, there is. And we'll take breaks, we'll go on like walks, we'll spend time together, we cook and like eat and watch shows, so it's not like all games all the time. But it's the majority, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so you did the raid the other day, correct?
Yes.
This is
As a person too lazy to do a raid anymore. Okay, so what was your impression of it? I mean, because I've seen people say that it's I've heard seen people say that it's like the best raid ever.
It's more for me. It's not best. I would say it falls at a solid. I really liked it. There were a lot of mechanics that were hard to wrangle. The tether mechanic specifically, where you have to like form a line from like one pillar to like a specific object or area.
Is it glitched?
No, it's just finicky. And it was like it's also sort of just like herding cats, where in raids you're trying to do a lot.
It's line of sight, and that part is very difficult, trying to get that tether to hit that one spot you needed to get.
And it wouldn't be so hard if you didn't have, a million other things going on as you were wont to do in raids, right? So you're like, shoot the Vex. Oh, they have shields. Like, build the ground. Oh, don't let the boss kill you. Oh, kill that Cyclops. And meanwhile, in the middle of all that, you're like, we have to build this dumb tether that we have to wrangle, like, literally, like, 4 people for this one job. And all these other people have, like, 3 other jobs in addition to it. So it was just, like, so hard to, like, get that going at first. But then we were like, okay, like, you 3 are, like, tethered people. You are closest to the pillar. You are closest to the boss. You are in the middle. And then, like, once we had those jobs designated and we sort of, like, learned the ranges, it became, like, easier. Like, now we don't really mess the tethers up so much. But when we were first trying to learn it, we were like, this is, like, the worst thing. It's so frustrating. Like, we hate it. But it's fine now.
I saw 6 guys on Twitter this morning. They spent their time in the raid to turn the tether into a pentagram.
We did that by accident once. It was pretty scary.
That should be a built-in game mechanic. Like Golgoroth just comes out of the ground if you make a
I
pentagram.
would love.
Crota.
Yeah,
Crota just comes back.
Yeah. Not Crota, no.
Just comes back and kills all of us.
It'd be hilarious. I think that should be an Easter egg. If you accidentally make a pentagram, then someone like that should come back.
Nightmare of Ozzy Osbourne.
Whoa. But yeah, overall.
990.
Oh man.
So you've been raiding since, I'm assuming, Vault of Glass in D1?
Yep.
What would be your favorite raid?
This is a really hard question. I mean, Vault of Glass might be it just for like the sheer nostalgia of it. You know, again, it was something I haven't really done in games before Destiny. Like I know raids existed in games, but I personally hadn't done them again because I don't really have MMO experience before Destiny. So it was very new for me, and like it was great. You know, I was playing with a guy, an old friend who I haven't played with in a long time because I think he's still on Xbox and I jumped to PS4 when most people did. But you know, so we played with him and some of his friends, and he made like a little like memory video like of us doing the raid for the first time. It was just like really cute, that like a little memory video. So that might be my favorite. And I just like the scenery, you know, the dark, like, moody dungeons, the glittering of the light of the confluxes off the glass, like, the eerie red eyes of the Vex in the mist. Like, I think aesthetically it's also, like, really cool.
You can't tell at all that she's an art person, can you?
I'm into it.
I really, and I think Vault of Glass is a good balance between, like, length and challenge. And it's that sort of thing is the reason why I wouldn't say King's Fall. I adore like King's Fall. I love Oryx as a villain. I think he probably is the coolest boss fight. There's really nothing quite like, you know, when he first comes up and he's like a giant, you know, all those reaction videos online of people first fighting Raid Oryx for the first time. And knowing what you do about the lore of Oryx, that how like high the stakes are in the fight for him, you know. I am the mightiest thing there is, and I prove it thus. I gamble with my soul, basically, is what he says. So just knowing those implications make the fight really cool. But that is a long raid, and those fights are very unforgiving. You know, I spent a lot of times trying to do it with LFG groups, just not getting it done. So I think that just the time investment for that would make it maybe not my favorite, but still up there. So, sort of same thing for Last Wish. You know, now that everyone's experienced, I can do Last Wish pretty quickly, but it's another longer one.
I almost hate to ask you this question, but how deep on the lore do you go?
I think pretty deep. I wouldn't say I'm like a lore scholar, but I'm like, I read like all the lore that I get in game, and I like being aware of like the motives of the characters, the background, you know, the history, the stakes. So I like read what I can, and I try to stay up on it. You know, I'm not someone who could like, oh, that Grimoire card where Mithrax found the vent baby. I couldn't like translate what Mithrax was saying in like Elixir for you. Like I'm not that like up to date on it, but I'm generally pretty aware of like what's going on, I think.
What do you mean you don't speak Elixir? Hold your head
Yeah.
in shame.
Show over.
I really wish I could. I'm super jealous of people that feel like that's smart. Like, whoa, how do you like?
I think we have a guest coming on next week that could probably do it.
That would be super cool. I'll have to watch that.
The Antelor. Here, come over to this side of the podcast. Come. This is fun. Come.
I like his beckoning voice.
It looks like this for me in college. Okay, so out of all the little nuggets and storylines shooting in like a million directions on the moon, what was like the one thing that you thought was the coolest that you found? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so like busy with the power grind that I really need to like dig like into some of the more the lore. But like for me, I was a little like, I don't want to say disappointed with if we're calling them the Veil, I don't know, whatever that darkness race in the pyramid is. I was a little bit disappointed that they were like an entity with like give me a minute here. I have to like think how to word it. Like, not disappointed, but I was expecting them to be more like a force, like an entity that just existed because that's what it was, and like
not non-corporeal.
Yeah, and I mean, they sort of like, you know, we haven't seen what they really are. We just had those like guardian phantoms, and then like that specter of our guardian in the forest. I think the fact that they like came out and like said like, oh, we're your like salvation, like, you know, the light is pain and suffering, like we are the way, like, I don't know, I need to like think about this a little bit more, but I was expecting them to be more of like sort of like what the 9 are, but I can't and the 9 have sort of come to show that they have like more personality than I was expecting. Like personality isn't. I might have to get back on these because this is something I've been like thinking about a lot. But I was expecting them to be more like something like haunting us. I don't know, just the fact that we came like face to face with them and like held a conversation. I was sort of almost expecting them to be something that like we couldn't comprehend. Maybe that's what it was. As something like grander or like more malevolent, just like something you got more of a feeling from. I don't know. Just like something about the way the darkness was portrayed was like different from what I was expecting, but you know, we still don't know a lot about it and it could still change a lot. But
The important question is, when you were on the pyramid ship, did you see like the 2 red eyes off in the distance in the dark?
no, I'll have to go back and look for that.
Okay, because this was my test. Because those of us who saw it, there was like it really defined who you were as a person. Because there were people that just like kind of like went, oh, that's kind of scary, but I'm gonna stay on the path. And there were, you know, those of us that charged straight towards it, were like, what the hell is that? And fell into the abyss. So.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to go back and look. I was just like too pyramid, but as far
I wish
as
I spent more time like looking around and like somebody put a lot of time and energy into making that thing, you know, the art
yeah.
person. And I literally just like, oh look, there's a shiny ball in the middle of the room, and I'm out.
So okay, I want to go like. Sorry, I will stop talking about this in a second, but I just feel like I did a really bad job of like explaining myself, and I want to try and make sense. So you know how like the Traveler is like an entity that we like sort of understand, but also like don't, like we've never like really interacted with it. It's like a force at play, and it seems to have some goal for the universe, but we're not really like entirely sure what it is. I was sort of expecting the darkness or whatever was an agent of those ships to be like the antithesis to that, right? So just like, I don't know, the fact that they deigned to interact with us on a personal level was interesting, I should say. Not disappointing, just not what I was expecting. So there. I don't know if that makes more or less sense.
You should mention that. There's actually, you know, the little stupid missions you pick up from Toland?
Yeah. He calls me a dink all the time, and I'm like, shut up, Poland. You calling me boring doesn't make me want to talk to you.
There's actually one of them when you're running through, because you can do them forever. He actually explains what the pyramid is.
Okay. What does he say?
He
I haven't
says
gotten
it's
that
the
one.
exact opposite of the Traveler. But instead of having the power to make, it has the power to unmake. Which nobody knows what that means in full. But so yeah, I just run around every time there's a Toland thing. I'm like, okay, I'll pick you up and run 25 feet to go complete this
Right.
mission.
For my triumph, my 20 Tolan lesson lore triumph. I don't know. He told me that he wanted to commit genocide on the Elixni, and I was like, whoa, I'm out. Alright, I'm a head out.
He's an extreme dude.
That's a word for him.
I'm not a fan. But he's kind of an all or nothing type of guy.
You just pissed off every lore nerd in the community by saying not a fan. You know that.
No, they don't like him either.
No, I was gonna say, I think
I'm sure.
he's pretty generally viewed as a snooty, uppity.
He's the.
They see the value in him, but they're just like, he's just a jerk that talks in circles.
Yeah.
It's like he pisses them off more than anybody. So yeah, no, we're fine.
All right. Where else do we need to touch on tonight, Rick?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I kind of took us down our own rabbit hole, so we're even now.
Well, keep going.
I love Eris Morn. I can just say that. That's
Tell me
probably my
about it.
favorite part about.
No, I mean,
Well, you know, you were just saying like, what was your favorite part, like the Shadowkeep, the favorite thing that you learned? I just like seeing more of Eris. She's just like a really cool character. I really like that we saw more of like her relationship with Ikora.
I was glad to see her come back and they didn't like throw her under the bus, because wasn't the speculation that she was going to turn out to be evil?
I hate those speculations.
But
I don't want to like go too far on a tangent, but I think a lot of those speculations come from the fact that she's like not like a necessarily like a mentally like sound, like she's like a traumatized like woman. I think people are like a little like wary of that. Like again, I know you guys like to stay away from this topic, so we don't go far into it, but like she's like only ever like helped us. So I think it's weird when we get like characters like her and people are like, is she like actually evil? It's like, well, no, she's never done anything like evil. Like she's got like spooky hive eyes, but she's never done anything like malevolent or hurt us. She's only ever helped us. So I think I it's always sort of weird to me when people like jump to her being evil. And I know we got that latest lore update from Bungie where they were like, she's like twin to orcs or whatever because she. Sorry, what?
I'm reading the chat.
Yeah, reading the chat. We
Maybe
have
chuckle out loud.
we
Tolan is a disembodied reskin of Archie Bunker.
Whoa. Harsh. I dig it.
one of our faithful viewers,
It's the only mod.
Mr. Boop Cannon, every week drops at least one really good
Rain
comment.
just fucking derails us. I think he plans it all.
It's okay. I was going to go on a tangent anyways because Eris is one.
Go for it.
No,
no,
I agree with
do
Ryan.
it.
I'm super glad they didn't throw her under a bus. I'm glad she's still alive and relatively well and, you know, still herself. And I hope that she gets to help us out more in the future.
Have you done any of the finding her dead fire team members?
I did precisely one, and I'm, like, super interested in it. It's just, like, again, one of those things.
Tell me,
They're gated, so you can't burn through it. It's
tell
gated.
me about this because I do not know about this.
Are you talking about the fire team things?
Yes.
Okay,
So
I thought you were
can
talking about
only
the
do
ghost
one a week.
traces. I thought you were talking about the ghost traces. No, I've done the fire team things.
No, because you can only do 2.
Yeah,
Is it
that's what I'm saying. I've done the
Oh, yeah,
the available fire team things, I should say. I thought you were finding the ghost traces on the moon, which I'm like, okay.
I'll watch a YouTube video. That's a lot of walking around. Those are cool because it's stories of stuff that would happen during the, I can't remember, it's not Burning Lake, but the other, about the great disaster or whatever it was. So you find one and it identifies the guardian and you actually hear a recording of what was going on from the ghost and it's different voice actors, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, the thing with like go and find her fire team members, things like each week you're actually helping her get over her whole grieving process. So you're helping her mental health.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
just like the whole thing of like the specters tormenting her is like sort of like awful. It'll be interesting to see if like by the time those missions are over, if they'll still like be there, which I assume they will, because I don't think there's any less of them now than there were when they started. But yeah, like in that.
There's only 3 now that hang out
really?
with her if you've done 2. Yeah, there's only 3.
Oh well, then maybe that would be cool, because I know they said they wanted Destiny to be more of like a living, changing world. So like, if you could actually impact the game by like helping free her from the grasp of the specters, that would be really awesome, and that'd be something I'd be totally into.
But she's still gonna be on the moon selling us back, trinkets, so it's fine.
Yeah. Gotta have her. End her life.
Or maybe like week 5 they could move her to the tower, and you had to go to the tower, then go to the moon just to upset everybody, because that's something I would do.
Yeah.
100%.
I'd be happy for her to come home, but it seems like she's got a lot to do.
This is not a slam on console, but that would be absolutely horrible for console people with all the loading and shit that you would have to do.
Yeah, like
I mean,
I'm not like.
PC.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is not PC versus console, but it just naturally longer load times. Having to jump off the moon to the tower to back to the damn moon. Just no.
Totally a dick move, obviously.
Yeah, I was like, today was the first day that I played both like PS4 and PC in one day. Like usually I do PS4 one day and then like PC on that awesome rig you made for me. Thank you. The other day, but today was the first day I jumped straight from like PS4 to PC, and I was doing Iron Banner and trying to check progress on my Iron Banner stuff on PC. I was like, wow, this is like a lot faster. Like I never noticed. Like I've heard people say, but like
if you ever want to check yourself for epilepsy, go PC and then go straight onto PS4. If you don't get sick, you're good.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I started on PC this week, and like I played with the menu for like the first 10 minutes, and like, look how fast this shit is.
That was really nice.
It's like I changed my loadout during a Crucible match and didn't die. My mind was blown.
Yeah, it is like I was like I can check quest progress and like change my loadout before the game starts. Whoa.
It's like, what do you mean I'm already here?
So
How?
I love that I'm the PC guy here, and I'm the one that's gonna put this conversation to bed, because it is 10:15. We got to start bringing this to a close.
Okay.
Every party has a pooper, and this party has you.
Well, that's fine, but you said 10:30, so let's get so at the end of every podcast we ask our final 5 questions, and this week we'll do this again with you if you're ready for them.
Do I have to do the last question like Jim does?
No, I got the last question.
Okay.
Unless you have one like on.
I mean, I can make one up by the time we get to 5. I'm sure.
I mean,
just go. It's fine. Ignore me.
so, all right, Anna. What is your favorite food?
I actually talked about this in my Twitch chat today.
If it's ramen noodles, I swear to God, I'm gonna start sending you boxes of them.
Oh, would you actually?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like
The
how
shitty,
long is it?
the shitty ones from Sam's Club.
Uh,
$100 for $1.
I'd probably still eat them. I do love ramen a lot. Honestly, though, I just like really simple comfort foods. I love like tomato soup and grilled cheese. And the thing is, like, a lot of the foods I eat are like really hard on my stomach because I've just had chronic stomach problems, but I still like to eat, which is like a bad juxtaposition. But I like simple things, so tomato soup, grilled cheese. I love burgers and fries, pizza. My dad makes really good pancakes. Sort of right now, that's my favorite meal is my dad's pancakes. I also love like things like udon, certain types of sushi I really like. But generally, simple is good for me.
Did she give an answer or just dance around?
There's a lot to it. My dad's pancakes.
All right,
That's
there
the
we go.
answer.
We're going with pancakes.
There we go. All right, favorite drink, alcoholic and non-alcoholic.
Okay, so I'm really not much of a drinker at all because I am like 95 pounds soaking wet and like I drink a glass of wine and get sleepy. So alcoholic. I had a really good. It was like I think the brand was Mackenzie. It was called like a pumpkin jack cider. It was like a hard cider, so like not really very very light alcohol, but still alcoholic. And it just tasted like drinking like a pumpkin pie almost. It was really tasty. So that was probably my favorite alcoholic drink. I also like things like margaritas and rums and cokes, but I can't drink really, both for like the stomach issues and because I just don't have tolerance. So it's easy for me to stay away. But and then favorite drink is water because it's good. I drink a lot of water, but like if I had to pick an actual like something with more flavor, I like ginger ale a lot. And tea.
Fair enough. What is your dream job?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. Art was it, and it's been
Same.
fun, but it's not a dream. I don't know. Maybe to be. And then I'm like, well, maybe I want to be like a self-employed artist. But I'm like, but being a self-employed artist is so hard. Like you have to do so much hustle. Mad props to the people who can self-employ. I think maybe like streaming would be it. But I'm very introverted and talking with so many people is stressful. It's fun, but dream job, I don't know if that would be a dream job. I used to think concept art would be a dream job, but then I heard about how like brutal and unstable the gaming industry is nowadays, and now I don't think I would want to work in the game industry. So
Bet you in the next 10 years that gets cleaned up.
yeah,
Mhm.
maybe then I'll try it.
Maybe
Maybe then
less.
I'll be a better artist. So maybe someone will take me then. But I've never applied. But,
All right.
maybe dream job would just be to work for Bungie. Simple, and I think they would have a good work environment. So who knows? For the sake of providing an actual answer, dream job would be artist at Bungie.
Fair enough. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Solid.
Favorite guilty pleasure that only your fiance would know about? Game, movie, and music.
Shit. I don't know.
What video game do you play that nobody would ever think that you play?
Shit.
She's more on my side of the fence, bro.
I don't know if
when-
I
Should've gotten looser.
All right, how about this? When you're at home by yourself and you're doing whatever you're doing, what music do you put on that people would go, really?
Let me rephrase it. What music do you listen to that you might be embarrassed if other people knew you listened
I'm
to?
pretty like. Nowadays, I used to be like, ooh, I don't like rap, but now I'm like, I like rap. Rap is fine. I like that stuff. It's fun. So recently I've been listening to like a lot of mashups, which have been just like really fun for me. But that's not like something I'm embarrassed by. I don't really know if there's music that I'm like embarrassed by. There's definitely like corny songs. Like we put in an All American Reject CD last night. I was like, wow, this takes me back, and it's like really good. I like really like this, but I don't think I'm embarrassed by that.
All right.
So that's why.
I hope you
Yeah,
got that
like-
clipped.
I'll go back.
All right.
I just like really hokey. I like techno mixes. Really like old music that people are like, oh, that's like high schooler stuff or whatever. It's like that's fine. I like that stuff. Guilty pleasure games. Again, I
It's
just
like high school. When I was in high school, it was another century.
Shut up! I'm the same age as you.
I mean, even for me, I'm not like. I know I'm not technically old, but I feel old. High school seems like a long time ago.
Oh God.
A really long time.
All
So I
right.
get that.
So
All right, Uncle Festa,
Sorry.
question 3, go.
let's we'll go ahead and move on to the last question. What is your favorite curse word?
Shit. No, I don't know. I probably say.
I agree.
I do say. I probably. I feel like I say fuck a lot. I don't know. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I feel like I say it a lot, and I'm sorry, parents. 'Cause I know that would like upset them, and I love them.
Parents don't listen to this shit.
They like apparently like the whole family like they were at like my aunt and uncle's house and visiting relatives, and it was like my aunt, uncle, mom, dad visiting relatives, and apparently they like all sat down and like my fiance's stream when he did the raid race.
Oh, you were apologizing to your own parents.
Yeah.
I missed that. I fucked up. Never mind. Go ahead. Continue.
Sorry, but yeah, I know this is a tangent, but like apparently they like all sat down at like dinner with my fiance when he was streaming the raid, and I was like, that is like so like sweet of them, because I know they like don't really like care about video games, but they want to like support us. It's like so sweet, and also like I am like so fucking sorry for the language that they probably heard. Like,
When they see you next time, they're gonna be like, "Hey, like we love the stream, but what is up with you and this filthy mouth?
yeah.
Is that what happened to you in New York?"
No, it's what happened to me when I started playing video games online.
This is true.
Everyone was
This is
cussing a lot
very
when I
true.
When I play games online, everyone was like cussing a lot. My college roommates were like, "Wow, you swear a lot when you play." I'm like, "Sorry, not sorry."
Alright.
So yeah, fucker shit, maybe. I don't know.
So that is
Is he okay?
no. I
Just choked on something.
this is I have a saying, and I use it but just about every week. We broke Rick, and this is what happens when we break Rick.
He chokes.
He turns bright red. It's bad.
Sorry.
I apologize for nothing. It's fine. Shit. I don't.
All right, Rick. Why don't you
Oh, dead air. I love it.
take a deep breath and get us the hell out of here?
Okay, fine. Well, Dad's telling me it's time to go. Unfortunately, we can't sit here and curse anymore. I wish we'd have opened up the show. Shit.
We'll have
I didn't know
to.
that was gonna be such a hit.
We'll have
Oh, I
to.
had known.
You just literally wrote our 5th question for our final 5 questions every week now.
What is your favorite curse word?
That will now be a part of the questions.
I'm really
What's your
making up
favorite
names.
sound? No.
I do tend, when I play games, I do tend to go a lot, so I don't know. Maybe that's my favorite sound. Like when I die in a really dumb way, I'm just like, or like, there's the sound.
We must raid with her one time.
I'd love it to raid with you guys.
I have a computer now. I can play with all the people. The ones that have big hands anyway. Never mind.
All right.
It's a running game. I can't play with a PlayStation controller. It's just it doesn't work for me.
I don't play with the PlayStation controller either.
Nor should you.
I'm assuming he probably uses Scuff, yes?
I know my fiance uses Scuff. I wire my controller through a Cronus or just directly to the PC.
Oh, okay.
The Xbox Elite.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, Rick, take us home.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I went to your website. You have beautiful art. We talked about it, but I completely forgot to talk to you about that. But that's fine.
It's okay.
So, give the people your website first of all.
Okay, probably like the best place to keep in contact with me right now. It's just at Twitter. I'm twitter.com/artofanodyne. I also upload just the art to Tumblr on the same address, so you can find me there. I have a portfolio at, I think it's just artofanodyne.com. Yeah, so that's my cargo portfolio. That's more of a curated selection of art, but some of that art is really old and needs to be updated. So thank you for reminding me to get on my portfolio. So yeah, for now, best site to find me is twitter.com/artofanodyne. I keep that pretty regularly updated.
All right. And where else are you on the internets, like your streams and stuff?
Follow-up question.
Yeah, so I gave some of those in the previous answer, and then I think find me would really be Twitch at the moment, which is twitch.tv/yo Anodyne, because I guess the other Anodynes were taken.
Anodyne was taken.
Yeah. So
Does that just fucking piss you off?
yeah.
It might be more involved than that. When we went to get our podcast name on there, we found out that there was a ton of
Softcore porn.
yes, exactly,
Whoa.
with the name Destiny in it.
Oh, interesting.
Just dark rabbit hole.
So maybe there's something a little off the beaten path with your name also.
Oh boy. Didn't even consider.
And could never unhear it now. It's forever. Just don't Google it. I'm telling you.
I really, yeah, no, I won't.
I say it almost every week. You can see anything in life. You can unsee nothing. It's fast.
Wise words.
Good. It was a pleasure talking with you. We have to have you back on very soon. Very, very soon.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm sorry. I was nervous. I'm hoping I didn't too much, but I'm glad you guys had a good time. I had a good time talking with you. You're good hosts.
This was not my A game, but this is fine. I appreciate your flattery.
I'm never in my A game, so.
She's a damn good liar.
Perfect.
So.
All right, well, folks, thanks for coming out. We're going to do a raid. If you want to find us, because I'm not doing the spiel, go to DestinyUnfiltered.com. We have a bunch of links. But next week, we're going to discuss a little with the Dark Angel herself. Dark Angel.
This will,
I didn't segue into that well.
this will be her second appearance, and we will talk about Bacon Planets again. In Hidden Rooms in NASA. Yeah.
Bacon planets. It's a thing.
Yep.
Legit. But if you have questions for her in the meantime, throw those up on the Twitters tomorrow when you hear this. Or don't. It's fine too. We'll talk the leg off the chair. It doesn't matter. But that being said, we're going to do a raid. Stand by. I think I remember how to work the button. And we will see you next week live and Unfiltered. Have a good week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.